Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the state of my watch collection. It's Simon the Watch Guy, and here goes. Let's get into this. So today I'm going to start with let's go with the very first watch that kind of kicked off this collection thus far, and I'm going to bring out the Casio F91W. This was probably one of the first watches. It definitely wasn't my first watch, but it was one of the first that kind of kicked off the obsession. So I've not actually reviewed this on the channel, but we'll have a super quick look at this before we move on to the rest of the collection. This is probably most famous for being a kind of a beta watch, really. Let me just see if I can get a bit more light over here. So yeah, this is a beta watch essentially. You wear this because it's so damn cheap. I picked it up for around about £6 in 2014. I actually worked out that this thing, you know, it barely costs anything to run. If it lasts 7 years, well, it's less than £1 a year to run this, and if you get any more out of it, that's great. The battery to replace is literally a couple of pounds. So this is one of the ones that kicked off the collection. Let's leave that on the screen just about here. The next one, again, still in kind of beta mode. This is a Casio MQ-24. You can just see that on the back there. Stainless steel rear. The rest of the watch is just plastic with the usual resin band. It does have the Casio branding on the buckle and on the resin there. Quite a nice little watch. Don't really wear this one because this is the watch really that I bought this right before I really shelled out the cash on this one. Now this is the Seiko Chariot. This is limited to just let me just check this off camera. 1,982 pieces worldwide. Okay, so this one is super rare. This is I think it's the 38 millimeter version or 36. I can't remember. But anyway, this one's rare, guys. This cost me quite a lot of money, around about £220, and it looks fairly similar, kind of similar from afar to the Casio. But obviously it's a lot more expensive and it's better quality. Will I keep this one? I always said I would, but to be honest, as time goes on, it just doesn't see any wrist time, so I'm not sure. Let's put that one kind of up here. This is kind of where these watches sit. I wouldn't say that's a beta watch. It's more of a collectible, but so I kind of thought, well, again, sticking with the there's a Casio theme going on. There's more Casios than Seikos, so this is when I opted for this model here. Now this is also known as the Casio Royale, but this is actually the AE1200 WH. I couldn't remember the little bit that came after the 1200, but this is the WH. It's got the steel case back, steel strap with the Casio branding, and it's got the plastic coated bezel here. Really nice watch. However, I've set it up. I'm going to cover this one. I've got a couple of more watch reviews to do as time goes on, but I'm just doing a state of the watch collection so we can kind of see the madness, because this is madness. It really is madness. Going to go right back to the beginning of the collection. This one here, I don't think I've talked about this one on the channel yet. I maybe will at some point. Yes, I bought a fashion watch. This is a while ago. This isn't recent. This is actually an Armani watch. Limited edition. There's only, how many is there? There is 1,200 in the world. There was a time when I quite liked the idea of having a watch that, you know, not many people have. Maybe you're the only person who has the watch. So I bought this, and it was registered with like a charity organisation called whateverittakes.org, and I thought I was the bee's knees. I had this watch, and it's a really good watch. Basic quartz, really basic quartz, but it keeps the time. you know, really well. It's nice. It's not a bad watch. Do I wear it much? Not really, but I've got it. So let's add that to the collection. As you can see, we've now got to 5 watches. Let me just steady the camera up here, and we'll move on to... What should we move on to next? Let's move on to the G-Shock. I now decided I've got all of these watches, Casio's, Seiko's, a fashion watch. I kind of wanted a watch which was a beater, but I wanted something that could take a bang, and I thought, well, what better than a G-Shock? We've got the 5610. Now, this is obviously at shock resistance, one of the G-Shock lines, 200 meter water resistance, got atomic times, got solar power, solar charging. Absolutely fantastic watch. It's got the resin band. Doesn't have Casio, unfortunately. It's not signed there. You've got the recess buttons. Great little watch. Really is absolutely fantastic. It does see some wrist time. I do quite like this one. So I'm going to stick that over here. I figured that I quite like the G-Shock, so I thought I'd buy another one. I went for this one here. This is a... What is the model? This is a G7900, is it? Yeah, G7900A, this one is. Some people say that this is a G-Shock that resembles kind of like the moon, like a space age kind of futuristic, and it does look like that, to be fair. You've got the glow in the dark time there, which is quite cool. You can set that for 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, I think it is. You've got slightly recessed buttons, but they're a lot easier to hit than the ones on the 5610. Now this one, I've set this up so it tells you the current moon and tide graph there, if you can just about see this. So the tide's sort of just coming back in there. And fantastic little watch. It is quite bulky. I'm just going to put this on my wrist. Oops, without dropping it. So let's see how this looks. It's quite bulky. If you look at it maybe from the side, it's quite a chunky watch, especially when you go back and compare this to, let's look at the F91. You know, we're looking at two completely different sizes, two completely different size watches. So there you have it. That's some of the collection. Let's move on to the rest. So what are we up to? Let's count this, guys. We're up to, we've got the F91, we've got the Chariot, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 watches. And I think it was at this point I decided to go ahead and buy a Orient Bambino. Really nice watch, automatic, in-house movement by Orient themselves. Keeps super accurate time, really accurate. People said the strap that comes with this, it's not very good. I actually find it's okay. The more wear, and this did get quite a lot of wear at one point, the more wear you get, the better the leather, the more supple the leather is. So, really good watch. That does see a fair bit of time. Doesn't take much, little bit of a shake, and the second hand does start to sweep. Really fantastic watch. And also that blue, if you just catch that blue in the light of the dial, of the hands moving across the dial, fantastic. Really great watch. Kind of running out of space, I'm just going to move up some of these watches. Next one I decided to go for was back to Seiko. We went for the SNE 498P1. Remember that off by heart because this does get a fair bit of wrist time. It's got capable solar charging there. Super accurate again. These Luma Bright markers all glow nicely in the dark. It's got the Air Divers, I think this is. Air Divers 200 meters. It's got the Tsunami logo. Really nice watch, really, really nice throwback, and it does sit quite nicely on the wrist. It does look quite a nice watch there, and it's a little bit thinner actually than the one of the G-Shocks that I've just shown earlier. So it doesn't look silly. It is an everyday sort of man's watch, this one. And I've just dropped the F91. Luckily, even the F91 can take a bit of a hit, so it's not a problem. So it was around about this stage as well, I went Seiko mad, and I ended up with the M354. This is the Moonraker watch, 1979, absolute mint condition. This does see a little bit of wrist time. It's got the date. We've got to set this to 1990 because back in the day this watch only went to 2010. So in order to use it, you've got to set this to a year which has the same day and date, which in this case 1990. And if we just press this button here, we go back to the 19th of November, which is today. Okay, so how many have we got? Let's count this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 watches. Well, we've got 2 more, and here is the first one. This was a Chinese Tevis, and this is I did review this on the channel. This is the T801A, I believe. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Stainless steel all over. Chinese movement. Since my review, this hasn't been keeping great time. Sometimes it stops during the night. So apparently you can wind this, but mine doesn't. I'm not even sure if mine does seem to wind. It's a shame because it's a really beautiful model. I've ordered the quartz version of this, so I do believe we will have that coming to the channel at some point, which I'm quite looking forward to. It's a shame because this is a fantastic watch, but the automatic movement just isn't good enough, unfortunately. However, the case design is fantastic. Not too keen on the bezel action there. It does go back a fair bit, a couple of minutes. Stainless steel band, it's all right. There is a little bit of a weak point, as I mentioned. Go back and check my review on this one, my overview, and see what you think. And then finally, guys, I'm going to review this one for the channel at some point, maybe in the next few minutes. I might do it after this video, but I ended up buying a Swatch Random Ghost. And you're going to have to check out my video, which is coming very soon to the channel, to see what I think of this one. I thought, I'll give you a hint, I thought this was my exit watch. I really, as you can see, let's lay all these down, guys. I really want to get an exit watch now and get out of the game because it's getting silly. The money I've spent on watches is obscene, absolutely obscene. So I'm just going to move the camera over now and give you a close-up of all of these watches. We've got the Random Ghost, got the F91, got the G7-900A, the Seiko Chariot, we've got the AE-1200, we've got my fashion watch over there, we've got the Tevis, the Seiko, all the Seiko. Let's zoom out, just get a shot of all of them, shall we? Don't forget we've got the 5610 up there. It really is a stunning little collection, but I think kind of reached the point where I really want an exit watch just to get out of the game, guys. This watch collecting hobby, it ain't cheap. It ain't cheap. And some of these are cheap watches. Some of these are cheap watches, but don't forget, this isn't including, obviously, the ones I've sold. You know, things like this one alone, for example, this costs £360 alone before any of the rest. So this is, you're probably looking at maybe £1,000 collection, maybe. I did have a couple more which I've sold. You may have seen some on the channel. A few more which I've sold. This one recently set me back a fair bit, to be honest, because I had to pay a little bit more than I would have liked to, but that's another story. Yeah. But yeah, either way, guys, nice little collection growing. The Bambino is a great one. But I'm looking for that exit watch, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about exit watches when we talk about the Swatch Ghost. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, check out the previous videos, like and subscribe, and we will be back with more on watches. So thanks for watching, guys. Everyone take care.